Hello, my name is Laura. You will see and hear me, but you will only hear my husband. He's the one recording this video. Today our topic is the law of non-attachment. What does that mean? Well, my understanding is that you really aren't supposed to be attached to things. And the best example I can give for that is what I have seen, where in the Asian culture, they don't say my daughter or my son. They say the daughter or the son, but they're referring to their child. Or it could be when you have there's a headache going on in your body. You say, there's a pain in my head, or not saying I have a headache. It's not claiming anything in any way, shape, or form, physical or non-physical.
Well, you just said there's a headache in my head.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to think of the other way to work. There's a pain in this body. There's a pain in the head on this body.
Be careful, I hear some terms people use like there's a pain in the what.
I was trying to think of. See, my husband is chiming in here. So it might not be the greatest example.
You're obviously not Asian.
I'm totally not Asian. Even though I'm Caucasian, I'm not Asian.
That's the wrong Asian.
So my husband and I were discussing this topic, and when he started to tell me what the law of non-attachment really is, I was like, whoa, that's so different from what my perception is of the law of non-attachment based on what I have learned. So I'm going to ask my husband now, will you please explain to the viewers what the law of non-attachment is, because I will not be able to do justice for this topic.
Well, it's not your question is okay, the way you present. Remember we did the video on intention?
Yes.
Right? So the energy there was, I could feel the energy is a little off, and I'll tell you what I mean. When you said explain what the law of non-attachment is, you make it, the energy you sent off was that your understanding of the law of non-attachment is wrong.
I think it's misguided more than it is wrong.
Right. So see the energy you sent with it though.
I have to go back and review the video of co-creation and intent.
So here's the thing. It's not that it's wrong. Remember in a previous video, and hopefully folks can go back if they haven't seen that video. I don't know which one it is, but in a previous video, I love when your eyes get big like that. You sexy woman.
Focus on the topic at hand, please.
Anyway, we talked about how, going back to the previous video, the
one we just spoke of?
Yeah, except I don't know.
Co-creating an intention?
No, not
Which one?
No, one that we recorded a while back. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Right? Because in that video, we talked about how, I'm trying to remember now. I got distracted by your eyes. She distracted me, folks. Anyway, tell me what I was talking about. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I have to get my thoughts again.
I asked you
while I'm looking at you
about explaining the law of non-attachment.
Right.
And you had said that the way I had asked that question, it sounded as if I
got it.
There we go.
Go ahead. Finish.
The intention behind it was that
as if though you were wrong. As if
though I was wrong. Right.
And you're not wrong. And so in a previous video, here we go. Thank you, Saint Jimmy. I talked about how there are different levels to understanding the Bible.
Okay.
Right? That there are 33 levels. The St. Masters have told us that there are 33 levels of understanding to the Bible. 32. So just because one person, people always say that the Bible is contradictory. That's not true. All right? People just understand it. They've raised their level of understanding to a different level. So that they're reading the same scripture, but it means something completely different to them. That doesn't mean that someone that understands it at a different level is wrong with their understanding. It simply means that they're understanding it at a different level. It's whatever level that is out of the 33.
Okay.
is a good example of that. All right? Your understanding, and a lot of individuals' understanding of the law of non-attachment is exactly that. That you should approach it. Well, some people believe that the law of non-attachment simply means that you should learn to detach yourself from everything.
Right.
Is really what that's how they understand it, right? So, like you're saying, it's not my house. You shouldn't say my house.
Oh, I was just about to say that.
You said it.
I did.
So, it's my house, right? You should just say what?
The house.
This is what God blessed me with.
This is the house
that
God blessed me with. This is
Right.
the vehicle God blessed me.
Exactly, and that's the way you really should look at things. And we'll go into why in a moment. For example, one of the things that you learned over the years, once we were blessed with the kids that we have, and someone would come and or would say a compliment or pass a compliment. How do you say that? Is it go compliment our kids? What would people normally say?
Normally, people would take credit and say, "Well, thank you."
Right? You say, "Oh, your child is very smart," or "You have a beautiful child."
Your child is very talented. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, thank you."
What do you say?
Or say, "Well, thank God for that."
Why do you say thank God?
Because it wasn't me, it was the child and God working together. I mean, it's God's child. I'm
Right.
just helping facilitate their growth.
See the difference? That's the law of non-attachment right there. Because you know that you don't own the child.
Right.
You're a guardian of the child. That doesn't mean that someone that believes it the other way, as in, or sees it as the law of non-attachment as, well, I can't really say it's not mine, it is my house. So maybe I can let go of it. That doesn't mean that they're wrong either. It simply means that they're at a different level of understanding than yourself.
Okay.
But because they're used to judging, we're always looking to see if something's right or wrong. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Right. Well, I think that's because in society, people are always comparing.
Well, yes. So it goes back to the same thing with religion, right? We're Catholics, and we've been taught, well, put it this way, not just Catholics, but if you're a Christian, you've been taught that if you don't follow Jesus, then you go to where, right? So can you imagine all these Buddhist people? And there's some very nice Buddhists out there.
I've thought about that.
There's some very nice Jews.
And Muslims, and
Right.
there are people who don't even have a faith. And they're great, wonderful people.
Well, that's just too bad, isn't it? Because they're not following Jesus.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but that's the way.
That's the way I used to think.
Exactly.
But I don't think that way anymore because
Is that because
I see
just because one's perspective of the spiritual realm is not like ours doesn't mean that they're wrong. And it doesn't mean that they're destined to go to a place that we wouldn't go to,
right.
which is worse than where we would go to, simply because we decided that Jesus is our Lord and Savior and Buddha isn't.
Right.
So levels of understanding simply means that we are at a different level in looking at something and interpreting it so it benefits us. That's all it means.
Okay.
After spending all that time on that,
Yes.
law of non-attachment,
non-attachment.
another level to it, and whether it's a higher level or lower level, you'll decide. I'm not claiming it to be a higher level either.
This is a different understanding
different
at this point in time for me.
This is what this and the masters have taught me, and so this is what I go by. So what does it mean? Law of non-attachment actually means that you understand, every individual, not just you but myself, every individual understands that we have all of our helpers, all the ascended masters are there to help us, all the angels are there to help us, right? We also know that we came here with a purpose. There are certain things we're supposed to accomplish.
Right.
We got trained on these things before we got here. That's on a different video, I think.
Yes, it is.
The Journey of the Souls, that series. So all the details are there, so we won't go into those details here. But we already know that there's a purpose. Now, do we remember what that purpose is? More than likely not. And that's because we're not close enough to God for that to happen yet, right? Spiritually, we're not there. That's where that veil of forgetfulness comes in. That we've talked about in another video, whichever video that is. It's a lot of videos for you guys to go watch, right?
Or listen to. You don't
Listen
have to
to,
watch it.
okay? That's right. You can listen to it. Listen to them. So anyway, all that, we already know that.
Mm-hmm.
The question then becomes, how do you accomplish this purpose that you know you're destined for? Now, of course, that can change. I say destined. It doesn't mean, though, that it has to be that way.
Right.
I'm just using terms that normal human beings would use. How do you accomplish that? Well, you can call to the angels for help. You can call to Jesus or whichever ascended master you feel comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
for help. And they'll help you with that. You still have to do your part, though. Comes back to co-creation, just like that co-creation video. So they're going to help you, but you have to do your part to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So how does the law of non-attachment come in with that? Here's where it comes in. Let's say, for example, you've decided that, I'm talking about you now, in this case, right?
Oh,
You're the,
me. Okay.
well, we're using it as an example. So let's say that you've decided that, well, like the other day, you wanted to bake bread. Remember?
Okay. Yes.
You went and then I always tease you because every time you bake something, it's 25 minutes. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, right? Like, just 25 minutes again, right? And you always tell me, yes. I don't understand, folks, how there could be 2 big loaves of bread, put them in the oven, and still 25 minutes. And then she gets these 2 tiny loaves of things, and it's 25 minutes.
Just because it's a different shape doesn't mean it won't take the same amount of time.
By the way, they're still baked.
They're still perfectly baked.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. But then the other day, though, 2 days ago, was it? Or yesterday? I don't even know which day it was. Yesterday
morning.
You baked the 2 loaves, right?
Uh-huh.
You put them in the oven.
Uh-huh.
Set it 25 minutes.
Uh-huh.
See, all that is co-creation. See what I mean? Yeah, so you say, okay, I'm going to bake these 2 loaves of bread. And I set the time for 25 minutes, and when that's done, they'll be perfectly baked.
Mm-hmm.
You return after 25 minutes, so what happens?
Oh, the bread was perfectly baked. You're talking about the cinnamon rolls.
Oh, cinnamon rolls. Okay, the wrong thing. Okay. Even cinnamon rolls, folks, are 25 minutes. It doesn't matter how many of them there are. There were like 25 of them yesterday. And then 25 minutes.
That's all it took.
So anyway, but no, they weren't ready though.
No.
Uh-huh.
No.
So, what happened there?
So,
I just feel like it ties in.
It wasn't enough heat in the oven. I just don't think it warmed up enough.
Okay.
Because I didn't preheat the oven.
No, but what I'm saying is, okay, so now you saw that they weren't done. What did you do?
I put them back in for more time, and I raised the heat temperature so they would cook a little faster.
Why didn't you get upset?
What's there to get upset about?
Exactly. But how many people go and they set a goal,
Uh-huh.
and when they don't hit the goal, they get upset or get disappointed. Or put
Oh,
themselves
like I
down.
should have gotten upset, you're saying? Or some people would have gotten upset because it didn't bake in the 25 minutes?
Exactly. Right?
Oh.
Or some people get actually bothered by that. But what do you do? See, I'm using a very simple example.
I just
But what do you do?
put more time on the timer and raise the heat.
That's how simple life should be, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you realize, okay, these need more time. So let me just make the adjustment. That's what non-attachment is.
That's also a lesson in cooking.
Okay, I guess that not everything requires 25 minutes. It could be more. Right?
Sometimes.
But see, well, if you know, the non-attachment part is what? You are not attached to, even though this whole time, every time I tease you about it, every time you baked, I always say, are you sure this is 25 minutes, right? And every time we check, it's 25 minutes. I'm like, I can't believe it's 25 minutes. I don't understand how it's 25 minutes. And I'm the one trying to figure out why something that's huge
Takes 25 minutes, and something that looks so small, it's
takes
still 25 minutes.
Exactly. Right? But then yesterday, it didn't work out.
Right.
Now you could have stood there and said, well, I don't understand. Why did it not work? It always works. It's always 25 minutes. It should have been done in 25 minutes. You get the point?
I didn't do that. Uh-huh.
Because every time you've done it, it's been 25 minutes. So
Right.
why would you not expect it to be the same thing? But when you got there and you realize you open the oven and you say, oh, these are still white at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I need to switch these around, right? That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then you adjusted the temperature. and said, okay, they'll be done in 8 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever that was.
Right.
That's non-attachment. I don't know if I'm making sense to you.
I think so.
Okay, how? How am I making sense?
Because I am not holding on to why it didn't work out the way I expected it to. I am just moving on and finding a solution.
Get it?
Uh-huh.
You needed the bread.
Right.
That's part of co-creation.
Uh-huh.
You put it in the containers.
Right.
You turn the oven on, put them in the oven. All that's co-creation. You're being helped with all that. But when they didn't finish in 25 minutes, then what were your guides or angels or anybody else that was working with you, what were they saying?
Just switch them around,
Right.
turn up the heat, and let them bake a little longer.
Needs more time.
Yes.
Right? So work hard towards what it is that you feel you want to accomplish, what your desires are, right? Work hard towards them. Give it 100%, but know that you might have to adjust. Be flexible enough to understand that it might not go the way you expect it to. And when it doesn't, that's okay. That's the non-attachment part.
That sounds a lot like when they talk about the guys who fly out into space, that they're constantly doing course correction because they're never on track to their destination.
That's a good one. You know, do you know that it's over 90-something%? Do you know that?
No.
That they have to course. Imagine that. You're
That's a lot of
going really
correction.
far, right? No, I mean, the moon, who's there to help you?
Right.
And if you don't land there, where are you going to land? Where are you going to wind up?
Right. I think they mostly go to the space station. I don't think they've been to the moon again.
No, but even when they're going to the moon, I'm talking about the moon, right?
Right,
Even
right.
the first time when they were going to the moon.
It's constant course correction.
Constant course correction. It's over 90% of the time they're on the wrong track.
And they just say, okay, let's just turn to the left or turn to the right.
But can you imagine
where
that?
you're supposed to go.
You're on the wrong track, 90-something% of the time. Who would convince me to go
Oh, convince
trip?
you?
Yes.
No one.
I said, what are my chances of landing on the moon? And they'll be like, well, there's a 90-something% chance that you'll be off track. Like, you can go yourself.
We'll
I'm
get
not
you
going
there,
there.
but there's a 90% chance you'll be off track the entire time.
Exactly. Well, you'll get there though.
But you'll get there. And I'd be like, okay, I'll go. My husband would be
I'd
like, nope, not going.
But that's an excellent example of
Okay.
what it's like. Right? Where you know that you have to do your part. So they have to get the training. The astronauts have to get the training, right? They get submerged in water and all that stuff. They get on a special diet. They have to do weightlifting, all kinds of stuff.
Zero gravity training.
And despite all that, they still know that over 90% of the time, they'll have to make some corrections. That's their co-creation part. They have to do that. Otherwise, they won't land on the moon.
Right.
And they're like, okay, we're going to go anyway. Non-attachment. They're not saying, well, what happens if we don't make it? See, they just know, what happens when we go off course? Well, we just get back on course. They don't go, well, I can't believe we're going to be off course so many times. No, they just know, okay, every time we go off course, we're going to get back on course. Life should be the same way. You have your purpose, you have your desire, you have something you want to accomplish. Work hard for it. Give it all you got. But if things don't work out the way you expect them to, there's nothing to be disappointed about. Because guess what? You would have learned a lot along the way in getting that result that you got, whatever the result is. You know, if you were to just sit back and kind of reflect, you'll say, I did learn a lot. So then why are you disappointed? Why do you think you failed? You really haven't. Take those lessons and move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Right? That's non-attachment. Not being afraid. Looking forward to the results. All right? So you're not stuck on, okay, what if I don't make it? What if this doesn't turn out the way I expect it to? Well, I'm supposed to have $100,000 next month, and then instead you only get 50. Big failure, right? No.
No, it
That's
doesn't
what you're
look like it
supposed
to
to
me.
get. Get it?
Right.
And everything will be fine with that 50,000. You thought that you need 100,000 to do what you needed to do. But according to your laws of karma and according to your helpers, your angels, and whoever's working with you, they know that 50,000 will suffice and will handle everything you need, and you're going to be fine. So then there's no panic. You know that if that's what you got, it's more than enough to do what you need to do.
Okay. So then, with the law of attraction now, wrong law. With
Yeah,
the
wrong
law, with the law of non-attachment, then it sounds like as one works on applying that in their life, they'll be getting rid of a lot of the what ifs, and maybe even some of the doubts that come up, or just a lot of the, as people call it, pessimism, like, oh, it won't happen, it won't work.
Sure, sounds like it, right?
Right.
I actually didn't think about that. But
Because you won't be
you're
saying,
absolutely
what
right.
if something happens, you just say, okay, well, you know what, we're going to go full speed ahead with this right now. Oh, wait, there's a roadblock. Okay, course correction, where should we go now? And you're just constantly solution-oriented, it seems. Always,
Oh, you're really good.
Oh.
You just mentioned something there that I think will make sense with a lot of people. That's a great analogy. How many times now, think about it, look at how ironic this is that you just brought up.
okay.
How many times have you heard people say they're going somewhere, they don't know where the place is, they just have an address, and they just punch it into a GPS.
People do it all the time these days.
Do they ever guess or second guess that the GPS will get them there?
No,
They don't, right?
they don't.
But it's a piece of machinery.
And the GPS tells you, oh, roadblock coming up, you should take this detour.
And they say, oh, this is a great piece of software. They don't even call it software. Just this,
No.
this GPS is smart. It's like a person.
Right.
They don't realize that it's people that write the software.
I've heard
Put it
people
that
say,
way.
oh, thanks, Siri. It's a computer. It's not going to answer you.
It's a software, really. But so now people have more faith in technology than in themselves.
Oh, that's so deep.
Isn't that something? But you're the one that brought that up. By the example you just gave, because when you can navigate your life knowing that what you experience is the best thing ever and that you look forward to it, then what is there to even be afraid of?
There isn't anything to be afraid of.
Nothing. And you go through life knowing that, okay, if something comes up, there's an obstacle, you know there's a way to handle that. There's a solution for that. Whatever comes up, you know that God is there, the universe is there, the angels are there to help you get over those hurdles or whatever those things are. So if you already know that, just like with GPS, you put the address in and you don't even pay attention to where you're going because you just turn it on, then it's talking to you, then you go.
Right.
Your life should be the same way because you know that you have guides, you have angels, you have God that's guiding you. But the way people behave now, you would think that they trust the GPS more than they trust God. What do you think about that?
I think that's really deep.
No, but does that sound accurate to you?
That sounds very accurate. They do. They put more faith and trust into technology and maybe even other people leading them than they do in themselves, getting themselves where they need to go and pulling themselves through whatever situation they're going through.
But no, it's not them pulling themselves,
Well, it's working with God to get through
Exactly.
the situation.
right? So if you're afraid of a situation, if you're afraid of moving towards something, is it because you don't believe that God is going to help you with it? But you believe that Siri is going to get you to that address that you punch into the software?
Because Siri you can see, but God you can't.